Caitlin Clark is simply the talk of the internet today. Her and Taylor Swift broke the damn internet. Yes.
The night at Gamebridge Fieldhouse was already set to be electric, but nobody in the building could have guessed what Caitlin Clark had planned. Cameras panned across the arena, and suddenly, people noticed something strange. Every single seat in the house had a package waiting, not just for her teammates, not just for staff, but for every single fan who showed up that night. It wasn't just a simple souvenir. It was the very first release of Caitlin Clark's signature Nike merchandise. Imagine showing up to watch a game and walking out with an exclusive piece of gear that the rest of the world was still scrambling to get their hands on. It felt less like a basketball game and more like an Apple launch event. People weren't just cheering, they were stunned, filming and posting instantly. Within minutes, hashtags like #ClarkDrop and #CaitlinFact were trending. But here's the thing. As insane as that giveaway moment was, it turned out to just be the opening act of something way bigger. Because the real story wasn't the free gear or the crowd's excitement, it was what that moment symbolized. This wasn't just Caitlin Clark saying thank you to fans, it was the start of her officially stepping into a new lane. A lane that no WNBA rookie has ever dominated this quickly. And the timing? Absolutely brutal for her rivals. Because the very same week she handed out those exclusive drops, Nike revealed a bombshell that shook the entire basketball world. And suddenly, what looked like just a nice gesture to her fans became something much bigger. A calculated move that showed Caitlin Clark wasn't just playing the game, she was rewriting the playbook for what it means to be a superstar athlete. When Nike finally pulled the curtain back on Caitlin Clark's brand deal, it wasn't some small announcement buried in a press release. It was a full-blown cultural takeover. Billboards in Times Square, massive digital rollouts across social media, limited edition apparel drops selling out in minutes.
I went to order a t-shirt and I can't get one.
And front and center of it all, her brand new signature logo. 2 interlocking C's, sleek and sharp, a design so simple yet powerful that fans immediately started comparing it to luxury brands like Chanel and Gucci.
Yes, bro. And for all the people that was hitting me up about Caitlin Clark's signature logo, somebody said it looked like Chanel. I said it looked like Gucci. But whatever it is a luxury sports brand.
Nike didn't just give Caitlin Clark a shoe deal. They gave her something much rarer, her own phenomenon. That logo wasn't just a mark on clothing, it became a symbol of dominance. And it came with an even bigger headline, an 8-year, $28 million deal, the largest in women's basketball history. That's Nike screaming to the world, this is our face of the future.
The reaction was instant. Social media feeds flooded with clips of people unboxing her gear, scalpers reselling her Kobe collab shoes for double or triple the retail price, and fans across the globe showing off her logo like it was a badge of honor.
We love it!
It's simple, yet it speaks a lot.
I love it so much.
And while Clark's fans celebrated, her competitors couldn't escape the comparison. Think about it. One day you're reading articles about Angel Reese, A'ja Wilson, and Sabrina Ionescu getting their own sneakers, and the next, Caitlin Clark drops a logo that completely overshadows all of it. Overnight, she went from being a basketball rookie to a global cultural figure. The fact that Nike rolled this out with so much firepower showed they weren't just testing the waters, they were betting big, and they knew that Caitlin Clark effect would pay off. Now, while Clark's moment was exploding everywhere, the other side of the rivalry couldn't ignore it. And that brings us to Angel Reese, sitting in Chicago.
Angel Reese is now quoted as saying, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. It's because of me too, and I want you to realize that.
If Caitlin Clark is the face of Nike's global basketball empire, Angel Reese has been trying to build her own brand story through Reebok. On paper, it looked like a smart move. Shaquille O'Neal himself helped recruit her, promising a signature sneaker and positioning her as one of the cornerstones of Reebok's basketball comeback.
For Reese, it was supposed to be her big power play, a chance to step out of Clark's shadow and show she could be just as marketable. But here's the problem. Timing is everything. Reese's announcement about her Angel Reese 1 sneakers came months before Clark's deal was finalized. At first, it seemed like a win. People praised her for making moves off the court, and the hype around a September 18th launch date gave her fans something to look forward to. But then, Caitlin Clark's Nike logo dropped, and suddenly, the conversation shifted completely. While Reese had 2 basic colorways lined up, white and pink, Clark had an entire collection on the way, backed by Nike's billion-dollar marketing machine, and the contrast was brutal. Clark's merch was selling out worldwide, while Reese's release buzz started fading before it even began. Now, to be fair, Reese is a rising star with her own fan base. But when you stack her Reebok deal against Clark's Nike phenomenon, the gap is massive. Reports say Reese believed she was stepping into a game-changing moment with her shoe line. But the reality? Clark's deal made Reebok's announcement feel like a side note. And here's where the rivalry gets spicy. Fans online are convinced Reese has been watching every Caitlin headline closely. The speculation is that her short answers in interviews, her refusal to credit Clark publicly, all point to one thing: envy. Whether that's true or not, one thing's clear: Caitlin Clark has the momentum. And for Angel Reese, every new Caitlin milestone makes it harder to keep up. At some point, hype has to be backed by hard numbers. And in Caitlin Clark's case, the numbers don't just support the hype, they obliterate any doubts about her influence. Let's start with jersey sales. Within hours of being drafted, Caitlin's Indiana Fever jersey didn't just sell out, it became the fastest-selling draft jersey in the history of American sports. That's not just women's basketball, that's the entire industry, including the NBA, NFL, and MLB. Think about it. She outsold legends before she had even stepped onto the professional court. And the momentum didn't stop there. By mid-season, reports showed Caitlin Clark's jersey was sitting at number 2 in all of basketball sales, above LeBron James, above Luka Doncic, above Anthony Edwards. The only person ahead of her? The king himself, Steph Curry. That's not just impressive, it's historic. Now, let's talk about her sneaker collabs. When Nike dropped the Caitlin Clark-themed Kobe 5 Protro in fever colors, the shoes were gone in less than a minute. Retail price? $190. Resale price? Anywhere between $350 and $500 depending on size. Sneakerheads compared it to the early days of Jordan hype, where owning the shoes wasn't about functionality, it was about status. People weren't just buying Caitlin's sneakers to wear them, they were buying them to own a piece of history.
Meanwhile, when you look at Angel Reese's numbers, the contrast is undeniable.
What happened to Miss Angel Reese? She's all in Indiana during All-Star, and her Reebok campaign come to your track.
Her Reebok deal made headlines at first, but when her merchandise hit the market, there wasn't the same frenzy. No website crashes, no lines out the door, no resale explosion. And that's not shade, it's just reality. Caitlin's brand has transcended the sport, while Reese is still building hers. The gap isn't just wide, it's measurable. Every jersey sold, every sneaker flipped on eBay, every fan post flooding Instagram is a reminder that Caitlin Clark's influence is operating on an entirely different scale. And that's why this isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about who can turn the game into a global business empire. The Caitlin Clark effect doesn't stop at the edge of the court. Her brand has officially crossed into lifestyle and fashion territory, and that's where things get even more fascinating. When Nike unveiled her interlocking CC logo, people immediately compared it to fashion houses. Some fans joked it looked like Chanel, others said Gucci. But here's the kicker. Those comparisons weren't insults, they were compliments. Nike had positioned Caitlin's identity not just as sports gear, but as luxury sports culture.
That move changes everything. Suddenly, Clark's clothing line isn't just something you wear to a game, it's something people want to wear out on the street, to to school, to parties, to make a statement. The logo itself carries meaning, confidence, connection, creativity. Nike designed it to embody Clark's relentless drive and her bond with fans, and people picked up on that instantly. It wasn't just a swoosh with her name on it, it was a symbol of an entirely new lane of influence. And the global response? Unreal. Reports claim Caitlin's merch isn't just selling in the US, fans in Europe, Asia, and South America are buying it up, treating her like an international icon. Think about how rare that is for a WNBA rookie. Most players spend years trying to crack their domestic market. Caitlin? She's being embraced across borders in less than a season. Fans online started calling her the Steph Curry of women's basketball, not just for her shooting range, but for the way she makes the game look cool, fun, and larger than life. And that's the real key. Caitlin Clark isn't just selling sports gear, she's selling belonging. Wearing her logo is like being part of an exclusive club that's only getting bigger by the day.
Meanwhile, Angel Reese's branding efforts haven't traveled as far. Reebok doesn't have the same infrastructure, and while her AR Halo logo was hyped as unique, it doesn't carry the same weight. Fans outside the US aren't exactly rushing to buy Halo merch, and that's the difference. Caitlin's reach feels global. Reese's still feels regional. And that's why Clark's influence is starting to resemble something much bigger than a rookie campaign. This is cultural domination, on and off the court. Now, here's where things get messy, and honestly entertaining. Because while Caitlin Clark is busy racking up wins both on the court and in the business world, Angel Reese seems to be caught in a constant tug of war with her own emotions. Fans have been quick to point out a pattern. Whenever Clark makes headlines, Reese finds a way to re-enter the conversation. Think back to press conferences. Reporters ask Reese about Clark, and her answers are short, clipped, sometimes dismissive. It's like she refuses to acknowledge what Caitlin is accomplishing. Some fans speculate that this comes from pure competitiveness, while others say it's envy, plain and simple. Either way, the contrast is striking, because while Reese keeps trying to minimize Clark, Caitlin has barely said a word back. She doesn't throw shade. She doesn't clap back on social media. She just keeps winning.
The speculation online has only fueled this narrative. People say Reese feels overshadowed, that every time she tries to establish her own lane, Clark's next move dominates the spotlight. And the timing doesn't help. Reese's shoe deal announcement was quickly followed by Clark's Nike reveal. Reese's attempts to carve out fashion credibility ran straight into Clark's luxury comparisons. It feels like every time Reese tries to build her empire, Caitlin unintentionally one-ups her without even trying. Of course, none of this is confirmed. Reese hasn't come out and admitted jealousy, but fans are reading between the lines, and the storyline writes itself. It's the classic rivalry. One player trying to dethrone the superstar, the other too focused on shining to even notice the shots being thrown. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about basketball skill anymore. It's about branding, marketability, and global pull. Reese might win a battle here and there, but the war? Right now, it feels like Caitlin Clark is winning without even breaking a sweat.
Behind every highlight, every viral moment, and every sold-out jersey lies the real game, business. And right now, Caitlin Clark is showing everyone what happens when athletic performance and marketability collide at exactly the right time. Nike's decision to make her one of their signature athletes wasn't just about selling sneakers. It was about locking in a cultural icon before anyone else could. Look at the numbers. A $28 million 8-year deal for Clark isn't just unprecedented in women's basketball, it's Nike planting their flag in the ground, declaring her the franchise player of their women's division. And so far, that gamble is paying off in ways that even Nike probably underestimated. Every time Caitlin steps on the floor, it's a marketing opportunity. Every time she posts online, it turns into free advertising. When her draft night jersey became the fastest selling in sports history, that wasn't just a headline, it was proof of concept.
Now compare that to Reebok's angle with Angel Reese. Their strategy is clear.
They're trying to rebuild their basketball credibility, a reputation that's been dormant since the Allen Iverson era. Signing Reese, bringing Shaq into leadership, even announcing her signature shoe line. It's all part of an effort to reestablish themselves. But here's the problem. While Nike is operating on a global scale with Clark, Reebok is still struggling to get traction domestically. It's like they're playing catch-up in a race where the finish line keeps moving farther away. And timing is everything. Reese's sneaker is set to launch in 2026, the same year Clark's first Nike signature shoe drops. But here's the brutal truth. By the time Reese's shoe actually hits shelves, Clark's collection will already be a worldwide staple. Her logo will be plastered across continents. Her brand will have momentum, and her fan base will be even larger. Reebok simply doesn't have the marketing muscle to compete with that. It's not just about sneakers, though. Nike is treating Caitlin Clark like an event. Every drop, every reveal, every announcement is positioned as a cultural moment. People aren't just buying merchandise, they're participating in history. And that's the key difference. While Reebok is selling products, Nike is selling Clark.
For Angel Reese, this creates a tough reality. She may very well be a superstar in her own right, but when the conversation is framed as Nike versus Reebok and Clark versus Reese, it feels like she's holding a slingshot against a rocket launcher. And in business, perception is everything. Right now, the world perceives Caitlin Clark as the future, and that's a perception worth millions. Of course, no story this big comes without debate. The media and fans have been all over Caitlin Clark's new logo and her meteoric rise. On one side, you have the overwhelming praise. People are calling her branding move genius, saying the logo feels high-end, polished, and exactly the kind of crossover appeal women's basketball needs. Social media is flooded with fans rocking her merch, proudly showing off that double C symbol like it's a badge of honor.
But on the flip side, critics are quick to chime in. Some writers and fans argue that the logo looks too similar to luxury fashion brands, claiming Nike played it too safe. Sports Illustrated even ran a piece highlighting negative tweets about the design, framing it as a mixed reception. But here's where it gets interesting. Most of those criticisms came from random online users, not the majority of her fan base. In reality, the numbers tell a different story. Merchandise keeps selling out, shoes keep flipping for double on the resale market, jerseys are gone in minutes. If people really hated the logo, would demand be this insane? Probably not. Fans also love to speculate about how this impacts Angel Reese. Every time Caitlin drops something new, Reese's name ends up trending alongside her, usually in the context of comparison. And this fuels even more debate. Is the media overhyping Clark at Reese's expense, or is Reese benefiting from the rivalry by staying in the conversation? Some fans argue that the media is unfairly stacking the deck against Angel, painting her as the jealous rival, when in reality she's still a young star carving out her lane. Others say the contrast is unavoidable. If Clark is outselling NBA legends and Reese is struggling to move basic merch, the narrative writes itself.
But one thing is clear. Caitlin Clark is driving conversation at every level. From sports talk shows debating whether she's the face of the league already, to fashion analysts comparing her brand to luxury houses, to sneakerheads treating her drops like holy grails, she's everywhere. And in today's world, attention is currency. Every article, every debate, every tweet with her name in it adds to her value. At the end of the day, the mixed reactions don't hurt her. If anything, they add fuel to the fire. Because lover or hater, everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark. And in the business of sports entertainment, that's exactly what you want. When you strip away all the stats, the sneaker drops, and the logo debates, what's happening with Caitlin Clark is much bigger than just basketball. She's not just a rookie phenom, she's a blueprint for what the future of women's sports looks like. Every era has its trailblazer. Michael Jordan in the NBA, Serena Williams in tennis, Tiger Woods in golf. Right now, Caitlin Clark is carving out that role for the WNBA.
Her influence extends way beyond the hardwood. She's pulling in new fans who never cared about women's basketball before. Parents are buying tickets, not just for themselves, but for their daughters, saying, "We want you to see Caitlin Clark in person." That's generational impact. Kids are showing up in her jerseys, mimicking her logo, and trying to replicate her deep threes in driveways across America. That kind of cultural pull is priceless. And it's not just about inspiring fans. It's reshaping the business. Networks are fighting for rights to broadcast Fever games because they know Clark drives ratings. Sponsors are lining up to attach their brands to her image. Even the resale market proves her value. People are literally doubling their money flipping her merch. That's not fandom, that's an economy. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, despite her talent and charisma, is still figuring out how to convert her popularity into the same kind of cultural currency. She's got endorsements, she's got headlines, but the weight behind them feels different. Reebok is rebuilding, Nike is expanding, Reese is making moves, Clark is making waves. And that's the bigger picture. This isn't just a rivalry between two athletes, it's a clash of trajectories. One player is building a career, the other is building an empire. And the ripple effects are being felt everywhere, in boardrooms, in sneaker culture, in international markets, even in the way casual fans talk about women's basketball.
Caitlin Clark isn't just redefining what it means to be a star. She's redefining the WNBA itself. And for Angel Reese, the challenge isn't just catching up on the court. It's proving she belongs in the same conversation off it. So, what does it all mean moving forward? If the past few months are any indication, Caitlin Clark is only getting started. She already has the record-breaking sales, the viral moments, the luxury brand comparisons, and the $28 million Nike machine behind her. And yet, she's still in the very first chapter of her professional career. That's not just scary for her rivals, it's history in motion. Angel Reese, on the other hand, still has an opportunity. Rivalries are the blood life of sports. And whether she likes it or not, being linked to Caitlin Clark keeps her relevant. Every comment, every subtle dig, every time she shares the spotlight, even if it feels like she's losing ground, actually keeps her name in the headlines. And if she can capitalize on that by producing big moments on the court, she can turn this rivalry into something iconic. Think Magic and Bird. Think Serena and Sharapova. The WNBA has never had a rivalry that pushed both players into mainstream superstardom. Maybe this is the beginning.
But here's the truth right now. Caitlin Clark has elevated women's basketball into a cultural movement. She's turned games into events, drops into spectacles, and rivalries into headlines. Every move she makes feels larger than life, and that's what separates her from everyone else. The only real question is, where does it go from here? Does Angel Reese rise to the challenge and force the world to take notice of her empire? Or does Caitlin Clark keep pulling away until the gap becomes impossible to close? Either way, one thing is certain. We are witnessing a shift in sports history, and the face of it wears number 22 for the Indiana Fever. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Angel Reese can close the gap and build her own empire? Or is Caitlin Clark simply operating on another level entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is just getting started. And if you're ready to keep up with every twist, every record, and every headline in this rivalry, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next.